Imagine coming home from years of defending your country, only to face a backyard bully armed with a clipboard and a god complex. That's exactly what happened to Jack Hunter. A retired vet whose dream retirement turned into a nightmare when the neighborhood's self-appointed queen decided his pool was her kingdom. Jack had always pictured his golden years as a quiet fade-out, mornings with coffee on the porch, afternoons dipping toes in the family pool that his grandparents had dug by hand back in the 50s. The house in Willow Creek Estates, a cookie-cutter suburb outside Atlanta, seemed perfect, rows of identical lawns, white picket fences, and that deceptive calm where everyone smiles but nobody really talks. But beneath the surface, the homeowners association lurked like a nosy neighbor with a hidden agenda, enforcing rules that made military boot camp look relaxed. No pink flamingos, no basketball hoops taller than 6 feet, and heaven forbid your mailbox leaned a degree off plumb. Jack, fresh from 2 tours in Afghanistan, figured he could handle a few petty fines. What he didn't count on was Karen Wilkins, the HOA president who'd turned community standards into her personal power trip. Karen was the epitome of suburban royalty, mid-50s. Perfectly coiffed bob haircut, always in khakis and a polo shirt embroidered with the HOA logo like it was a badge of honor. She spoke in that saccharine southern drawl laced with passive-aggressive venom, quoting bylaws like scripture while sipping herbal tea at board meetings. "We're all in this together, darlin'," she'd say. But her eyes screamed control freak. Jack had nodded politely at her during the welcome wagon visit, ignoring the whispers from neighbors about how she'd find old Mrs. Thompson into selling her house over unsightly flower beds. He planted his flag, literally, an American one, on his porch, and settled in, thinking silence was the best policy. But inside, Jack was watching, cataloging every absurdity, every overreach. He'd learned patience in the desert, now it was time to apply it to this manicured minefield. The trouble started innocently enough. Or so it seemed. One sweltering Saturday, Jack was lounging poolside, the water rippling under the Georgia sun. When a sharp rap echoed from the front door, he padded inside, towel over his shoulder, and opened it to find Karen standing there like a tax auditor on a mission. Her smile was all teeth, no warmth. "Good afternoon, Mr. Hunter. I'm here for the mandatory pool safety inspection. HOA Covenant Section 14.2 requires annual checks to ensure no hazards to the community." Jack leaned against the doorframe, crossing his arms. "Mandatory? First I'm hearing of it. Karen, I've got the bylaws right here, read 'em cover to cover. Says nothing about letting you tramp through my backyard without cause." Her eyes narrowed, that fake politeness cracking just a hair. "Oh, bless your heart. You must have missed the addendum from last year's meeting. It's for everyone's safety. What if a child wanders in? We can't have liabilities tarnishing our pristine neighborhood." Jack chuckled dryly, but his voice stayed level. "Kids? My fence is 8 feet high. Locked gate. No trespassers since I moved in. This is private property, not a public park. No thanks." Karen's lips pursed, her clipboard trembling slightly. "Mr. Hunter, defiance isn't neighborly. If you refuse, I'll have to escalate. The board empowers me to enforce compliance, for the greater good." "Of course. Greater good? Sounds like an excuse to snoop." Doors closed. He shut it gently but firmly, hearing her huff on the other side. That night, the whispers started, texts from neighbors about that new guy's troublemaking, Facebook posts in the community group painting Jack as a recluse hoarding God knows what in his pool. He scrolled through them in bed, smirking at the irony, him. The vet who'd faced real enemies. Now the villain in a suburban soap opera. But he didn't bite back. Not yet. Instead, he started jotting notes, dates, quotes, screenshots. Patience was his weapon. By Monday, the first letter arrived, certified mail. Of course. Violation notice, failure to comply with inspection protocol. Fine, $500. Payable within 10 days or face liens. Jack stared at it over breakfast. The absurdity hitting like bad coffee. Liens? For not letting Nosy Nancy play lifeguard? He called his old army buddy, a lawyer named Mike, who laughed outright. HOAs are mini dictatorships. Man. But this smells off. Dig into their finances, bet there's dirt. Jack did just that. Late nights poring over public records. HOA minutes from the county clerk's office. What he found wasn't just dirt, it was a landfill. Unexplained expenses, $10,000 for community events that never happened. Reimbursements to Karen for administrative supplies that matched her kitchen remodel posts on social media. Favoritism too, her cronies got variances for rule breaks, while others got hammered. Jack's pool inspection? A pretext, rumors hinted Karen eyed community access for her summer barbecues. But really, it was about asserting dominance. He kept quiet, building his file like a dossier on an insurgent. Meanwhile, the smears ramped up. At the grocery store, Mrs. Ellis from down the street whispered loudly, "Heard he's got illegal chemicals in that pool, probably why he won't let anyone near." Jack overheard, bit his tongue, but noted it. Karen's machine was churning, anonymous complaints to code enforcement about his overgrown grass, it was mowed weekly. Even a tip to animal control claiming he had unlicensed dogs, he didn't own pets. He endured it all with a stoic nod. But inside, the fire smoldered. Let him talk, he muttered to himself. Words are wind, evidence is ammo. The escalation hit like a summer storm. 2 weeks after the door slam, Jack was grilling burgers when sirens wailed up the street. 2 cop cars pulled into his driveway. Lights flashing, drawing curtains from every window in the cul-de-sac. Karen stood triumphantly on the sidewalk, arms crossed, as officers approached. "Sir, we got a call about a non-compliant resident refusing lawful entry. Possible safety hazard." Jack stepped out. Hands visible, old habits from service. "Officers, this is a civil matter. No warrant. No entry. HOA isn't law." The lead cop scratched his head, glancing at Karen. "Ma'am, you said this was an emergency?" "Oh, absolutely," she drawled, voice dripping honeyed hypocrisy. "He's endangering the whole neighborhood. What if that pool collapses? We're just trying to keep things orderly, like good citizens should." Jack pulled out his phone, showing the bylaws PDF. "See here? Inspections require 48-hour notice and owner consent." "She's bluffing." The cops exchanged looks, one muttering, "This ain't our jurisdiction." They left with apologies. But not before Karen hissed at Jack. "You'll pay for this embarrassment. The board won't stand for insubordination." That night, the fines doubled, $1,000 now, with threats of foreclosure if unpaid. Neighbors started avoiding him, fear of guilt by association. Jack felt the isolation creep in, the anger bubbling. But he channeled it, more digging. He found emails leaked from a disgruntled ex-board member, Karen approving her own bonuses, burying complaints. He reached out anonymously online, Joining HOA horror story forums. Gathering tips. They're scared of exposure, one poster advised. Hit him with transparency. The pressure cooker built. Karen called an emergency HOA meeting. Rallying her sycophants. Jack attended. Sitting in the back of the community center. A bland room with fluorescent lights and folding chairs. Karen presided from the podium. Her voice amplified and sanctimonious. Fellow residents. We face a threat to our harmony. Certain individuals, her eyes flicked to Jack, refuse to uphold our cherished standards. For the sake of our children. Our property values. We must unite. A murmur of agreement from her inner circle. One lackey piped up, yeah. What's he hiding in that pool? Drugs? Bodies? Jack stood slowly. Voice calm but cutting. Hiding? Nah. But let's talk about what's hidden in the books. Like that $5,000 consulting fee to your nephew's company. Karen. Or the missing dues from last quarter. The room went pin-drop silent. Karen's face flushed. Her composure cracking. That's slander. This meeting is about compliance. Not baseless accusations. Is it baseless? I've got receipts. He held up printouts. Passing them around. Whispers turned to gasps. Karen banged the gavel. Out. You're disrupting order. As he left. Jack heard the doubt seeding. Wait. Is that true? The Miyama hit hard, her order crumbling under her own weight. Fines tripled the next day. But so did allies. Neighbors slipped him notes, we've been fined too, keep fighting. The isolation flipped, now Karen was the one looking over her shoulder. The boiling point came faster than expected. Karen. Cornered and desperate. Slapped a lawsuit on Jack, defamation. Noncompliance. Seeking injunction for pool access and $50,000 in damages. Her filing was a masterpiece of hypocrisy, claiming emotional distress from his aggressive resistance while ignoring her own harassment. Jack countersued. Armed with Mike's help, fraud. Abuse of power. Seeking dissolution of the HOA board. The courtroom in downtown Atlanta was a circus under bright lights, neighbors packing the gallery. Media sniffing around for a juicy suburb scandal. Karen took the stand first. Prim and victimized. Your Honor. I've dedicated years to this community. Enforcing rules for everyone's benefit. Mr. Hunter's defiance is a slap in the face to decency. Jack's lawyer grilled her, decency? Like diverting funds to your personal vacation fund. Labeled as board retreats? Karen stammered. Sweat beading despite the AC. That's a misinterpretation. It was for morale. The judge's eyebrow arched. Morale? In the Bahamas? Laughter rippled through the room, dark. Satisfying chuckles at her flailing. Jack testified next. Laying out the evidence, forged docs. Rumor campaigns. The cop stunt. She turned my home into a prison. All to hide her grift. Karen's cross-exam was a train wreck. You called the police over a pool? Sounds excessive. It was necessary. For safety. Her voice cracked. Face contorting in righteous fury that rang hollow. The jury ate it up, the absurdity of her Trat 2 mantra exposed as a sham. Witnesses piled on, ex-board members confessing pressure. Neighbors recounting fines for breathing wrong. Karen's allies flipped one by one. Her empire crumbling in real time. By closing arguments. She sat deflated. The once mighty queen reduced to a sputtering fool. The verdict dropped like a hammer, HOA board dissolved. Karen removed. Ordered to repay $120,000 in embezzled funds. Fines against Jack voided. Plus damages for harassment. The gallery erupted, cheers. Hugs. A few tears. Karen slunk out. Face ashen. Muttering about appeals. But the mask was off. Jack walked free into the sunlight. The cul-de-sac waiting like a liberated zone. In the weeks after, Willow Creek transformed. New volunteer committees formed. Rules rewritten with input from all, no more clipboard tyrants. Jack's pool became a symbol, neighbors dropped by for barbecues. Sharing war stories over beers. The air felt lighter. Then got gone. Jack sat by the water one evening. The sunset painting it gold. Reflecting on the irony. He'd fought overseas for freedom. Only to battle for it in his backyard. But victory tasted sweet. Laced with that high thrill of watching a bully's house of cards collapse. So, tell me, was Jack the real troublemaker for standing his ground? Or was Karen the villain all along? Drop your thoughts, who's right? Who's wrong? And have you tangled with an HOA nightmare?